The best of leaders never stop experimenting and learning because it's something of a curiosity mindset that fuels their ascent. It's certainly true of my guest today on C-Suite Conversations, who's gone deep within himself to build those capabilities. Without further ado then, let's take a walk down Conversation Street with Vishal Gupta, who's the founder and CEO of Seclore. Vishal Gupta is a seasoned entrepreneur and accomplished CEO with over 2 decades of leadership as a founder at 2 different companies within the tech industry. Under his leadership, Seclore has emerged as a driving force in information rights management, information usage control, and data loss prevention, empowering enterprises to understand, protect, and control their data wherever it travels. Since the company's inception in 2011, he has served as CEO and has driven the growth and innovation globally, establishing Seclore as a key player in the global data security landscape. Today, Seclore stands as a leading global provider of data-centric security solutions, safeguarding digital assets across various platforms and applications, whether on cloud or on-premise. Under Vishal Gupta's leadership, Seclore's core focus for the last decade has been on preventing data theft and ensuring regulatory compliance for enterprise organizations. Seclore continues to challenge the adequacy of conventional cybersecurity measures and is celebrated as the leader in data-centric security solutions, offering top-notch customer support and state-of-the-art technology, assisting businesses in securing their most sensitive assets while achieving digital transformation goals, all while maintaining the highest standards of security and compliance. Marksman Daily presents C-Suite Conversations. With me is Vishal Gupta, the founder and CEO of Seclore. Vishal, thank you so much for being a part of this episode of C-Suite Conversations.
Thanks a lot for having me, Karan.
So Vishal, Seclore has done some incredible work working with organizations, working with governments. But what I want to ask you as my opening question is, how has the company's data security philosophy served to really create any kind of unique cultural practices? Could you shed some light on that?
Oh, lots of it. I think we have to practice what we preach, right? So we can only secure other enterprises and agencies if we are secure ourselves first, right? And the rules are not very different, right? It is hey, how do we make sure that this awareness of these data security practices are through the company?
Right.
How do we continue to focus on data outside of infrastructure, right? So what at the end of the day, we all realize that data is what we need to protect, and infrastructure just happens to be in use at a particular point of time, and it can always change, right? So we've incorporated with some of the largest enterprises in the world using our technology. We have our need for securing ourselves is almost more than or equal to any of our customers.
Right.
So some of the things that we do is frequent training and enablement, right? External audits and certifications, like we are complying to ISO, SOC 2, GDPR, NIST. With customers in nearly 30 countries now, we come under all kinds of privacy regulation frameworks all over the place, right? So just making sure that awareness at the individual level continues to be high. And just because we are a security company, we don't assume security, right? That's definitely part of the fabric of the company.
So one thing that also struck me, Vishal, is that obviously you've scaled companies of this size very, very well. But when it comes to data security and when it comes to something as intangible as psychological safety, sometimes balancing those two can be a bit of a challenge. Now you know a thing or two about creating a culture of trust, of innovation. How do you go about doing that by balancing these two demands?
What I always say is that the car that can go fastest is the one which has the biggest brakes, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got the reason that one needs security is because you need to go into more and more quote unquote insecure environments, and those tend to be where companies want to go, enterprises want to go, right? So when there was no online banking, banks wanted to go into online banking. Now from online banking to mobile banking to always new frontiers, and the new frontiers are always the ones which are unproven, most insecure. You don't know what are the best practices and so on. And to go there, you need big breaks, right? And that's what we do. So with all of this context, what we always make sure is that we position to our customers and our enterprises who are customers and prospects, that with Seclore you will be able to do things and go into these digital transformation projects that you would otherwise not be able to go, right? So there are couple of different ways of positioning security. One is as of, hey, if you don't do this, something bad is going to happen, right? That's one method, right? Which is the fear-based messaging. We don't do that at all, right? So for us, it's all, the messaging is always, hey, with Seclore, here are the 10 great things you can do, right? So it's always enabling the digital transformation, migration to cloud, more and more interactions with third parties which might be spread out across the world and so on.
Right. So we've talked a little bit about the kind of innovative measures and technology being rolled out, at Seclore. But coming to you personally, does that kind of innovative streak serve to inform and shape your own leadership philosophy and approach?
Oh yeah. I'm always the guy who breaks things first, right? So adopting the latest and greatest on AI, right? For example, very recently, I was one of the first people in Seclore who enabled some kind of AI technology in our online meeting workplace, which created havoc.
Oh, how so?
So the AI system, I was only trying it out, but the AI system came into the meeting, recorded the meeting, and in the meeting there was some confidential information which was discussed, and that meeting recording landed up at a place
but you can't know those vectors until you
actually go there, right? And so on. So then that led to a lot of controls being implemented in our product, because this kind of situation is something which our customers would face
absolutely
every day as they adopt AI in this example, right? And so on. So yeah, absolutely. So my personal agenda is to break things at our level first, so that things don't break at our customers.
So this is like a safe testing bed of sorts. You know exactly what can go wrong, how it can go wrong. You stop it before it happens.
You've got the most notorious guy as the monitor of the class, right? That's what this is about.
So given the extent of Seclore's operations across the globe, how do you prepare your teams for the uniqueness of each particular geography when it comes to the rigorousness of consent, of trust, of transparency, of ethicality, and so much more?
It's a tough act. For a company our size, we are incredibly diverse, right? So we have operations in 7 countries now, customers in almost 40 countries, and those 40 countries and the 7 local operations across the world create non-linear pressure for us to comply to global best practices, right? And our customers are also the largest enterprises in the world. Defense, investigative agencies, manufacturing companies, banks, insurance companies of all sorts, who are the largest, and they themselves have to comply with hundreds of norms and so on. So for a company our size, it puts almost non-linear pressure, right? Because we have to comply to CCPA and GDPR and ISO and SOC and and the list. The joke within the company is that every 3-letter combination is a compliance framework somewhere in the world that we have to comply to, right? And so on. So the way we go about doing that is that we've created a very efficient mechanism to figure out what are the common elements across all compliance and best practices.
Okay.
And then what makes it different, what each country or each compliance frameworks, how does it differ? So it's almost like we've got the common elements and then what separates each of these. So the common elements are rolled out across the whole enterprise centrally. And then the regional team, so for example, our team in North America will then additionally layer on only those controls which are North America specific. And every company aspires to do that, right? But we've been able to do this very effectively because we need to do it, of course, for ourselves, but also our products, as they align or help customers, our customers, comply to those very same principles, best practices, compliance frameworks that we have to comply to. Right? So I think it serves dual purposes, internal as well as external.
So we are existing in an age where things are moving so rapidly, and like you said, breaking rapidly, being remade rapidly.
Yeah.
Is there any one piece of knowledge or maybe a personality trait of sort that you think is a must-have for a professional to succeed in today's competitive day and age?
Not being risk averse. I think one thing that has helped Seclore as a company, me as an individual, across the last many years, is that we've never been fearful of venturing into the unknown. Because if you do that, then, and if you seek to, let's say, the safe space, so to say, there's always a challenge that you'll be caught off guard. Right? So we've always created technology which has not been created before. We've always helped our customers go through projects and transformations that they have never ventured out on alone and before, and so on. So it's always about risk taking and encouraging risk taking, and from that company-wide initiative, it goes down to even an individual, right? So we encourage a lot of risk taking from our engineering team, from our finance team, from our HR team. As an example, one of the most successful hiring initiatives that we had, maybe this was 2 years ago, was to have a walk-in interview in a McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now, this is not an idea that you would think of, generally speaking,
Absolutely.
right? Hiring engineers in a McDonald's is hardly the brightest idea if it was thrown, but just by experimenting around and venturing into the unknown, we figured, hey, this is the best thing, one of the most successful hiring initiatives that we ever had.
Is that because that kind of setting was a little more casual, people put their guards down, or what drove the success of that?
I can't figure it out, right? I don't know why, right? Normally we would conduct interviews either at our own offices, or we would hire hotel lobbies or hotel meeting rooms, or whatever infrastructure and so on. And to be honest, I don't remember, but I do remember it was very, very successful. It was a new idea, and I remember somebody in the HR team giving us that idea, and I think it might be because nothing close by was available, so we were forced to go there or something like that. But hey, we did it, and it was very, very simple.
No bad ideas.
So there are no bad ideas, right? There are only bad ideas in retrospect, so to say.
Perfect. Vishal, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us over here as this episode of C-Suite Conversation. Pleasure having you with us.
Thanks a lot, Karan, for having me, and all the best. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Risk versus reward. We often talk about it, but how often do we actually balance the pursuit of those principles? That's not something you can say about my guest today, who was Vishal Gupta. Thank you so much for watching this episode of C-Suite Conversations. I'll see you in the next one.